Hi there. In the last video, we have been working on our Python game. We have implemented enemies. Now when I will start the game, the enemies will start following us and we are spawning 3 enemies at once. It would be good to have some defense against these enemies. So what I would like to implement in this video will be simple projectile system, so we can shoot some projectiles with our turtle and we can destroy enemies. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's go to our coding editor and how we want to start. So I think first we will be watching for the key, we'll be pressing. So I would like to bind the key to spawn a projectile when I press the space key on my keyboard, and then we will create some method on the player, and the player will be responsible for spawning these projectiles. Okay, so let's do it. Up here, in the imports, let's write here import from turtle, import on key press. I think it's like this, on key press, and we'll go down here and we'll call here on key press, and first we need to provide, I think, function, and then the key we would like to call. Okay, so we'll just keep it empty. I'll go to player. I'll make this like this. I think it doesn't matter. I don't know what's better for video. I think it's better for video when you see it more in the middle. And now I can get it back for some reason. It's back. Okay, so back to player, and let's create here a method. So up here we can be this method. We'll call it spawn projectile. So define here spawn projectile like this. This is a method, so we'll write here self. And for now, I'll just print here, print and spawning. All right, spawning projectile. Perfect. Now I'll go to main here and I'll register here this player spawn projectile on space key like this. All right, I will play the game. Let's play it, and then we'll press the space key. I'll press it multiple times. I should see in a terminal in my game spawning projectile. Okay, this works. Perfect. So we are calling this method. Now we just need to spawn the projectile. All right. So back to code. I'll shut this down. Okay, so how we want to do it? We will going to create a separate class for our projectiles, because the projectiles will look differently than other objects in our game. And then in the player we will keep a list, or as we created in the previous lecture, we will create a group of projectiles. Okay, so that's a plan. Create here a new file on the left side, call it projectile py, create here a class projectile. All right, and create here init method init. Perfect. I want to inherit here game entity, so let's write here import or from a game entity, import game entity. So we'll be inheriting the game entity here. So we are inheriting, we'll call here super init. So we'll inherit all of the attributes from the super class, from the game entity. And we'll create here some custom ones. So we would like to specify here self shape. So shape of this entity will be square. Color of these entities. So our projectile will have a blue color. So let's write here blue. All right, so shape, shape color blue, and what else we would like to specify here? Position at which we would like to spawn these projectiles. So let's write here, we'll be passing this through the init method. We'll write here vector2d. So for vector2d, let's write here from turtle import vector2d. So I can use this data structure. So we'll get here position, and it will be vector2d. And we'll add here self set position will be position we are getting from here. Perfect. So that's our simple game entity of projectile. Now let's save this, and we'll go to our player, and we'll try to spawn this. Okay. So first I will create here a group of projectiles. Let's write here self projectiles equal, and create here a group. So we need to import here a group and also projectile class. So up here, let's write here from projectile, not profile, from projectile, import projectile, and from group, import group. Perfect. So we'll create here a group group of projectiles like this. And it's not happy because our projectiles is not a group, is not a generic class. So how I will do it, I'll go to the group. So go to the group PY, and here we see we are writing that the group is the list of the game entities. So I would like to make it generic, so I will do it this way. So from typing, import type var, and I will create here this generic variable. So I'll call it t. Call here type var. I'll write here this will be t for this type variable, the name for it, and the bounds. So it will be game entity. So everything that will pass here should be inheriting game entity, and then I can write here a list of t. So now I can pass here everything that inheriting game entity. It can be a group of enemies, can be a group of projectiles, and so on. Okay, so this should work. What is complaining here should be on the top. All right, so let's go back to player. Now when you save this, it should not complain anymore, and we have a group of projectiles. Amazing. And now when we spawn the projectile, we'll create here a new instance of a projectile. So projectile equal projectile. And we'll need to pass your position, right? So position will be spawning projectile on the same position as the player. So this will be self position and call this. Okay, and then we'll access the projectiles group. So self projectiles, and we will append there the new projectile like this. So what you should see now, when you play the game, that we should spawn the projectiles at the player position. So when I'll play and press the space key, the projectile should be spawned on the player position. That's what we want to see. Perfect. This works. Amazing. All right. Okay. All right, let's continue. So now what we want to do is to create some movement to the projectile. So how can we do that? In the projectile, we'll create here, of course, update method, because it will be responsible for movement. So define here update. We don't need to call here super update. And what we want to do here, we would like to set the position, change the position of the projectile. So my idea is to spawn the projectile and provide the same direction as the player is turned to. So can I draw here? Actually, I cannot. Let me try this. Okay. So let's say my turtle is let's say my turtle is a triangle. So if the turtle is pointing this direction, I would like to spawn the projectile in this direction here, up here. All right. If the turtle would be pointing to the right, I would like to spawn the projectile this way. All right. So what we need to do, we need to set the heading in which direction the projectile is pointing to. So let's imagine the base system here. Here is our projectile spawned like this, and the default direction is here. But we would like to spawn it in this direction. So we will get a player direction. Let's say player will be turned this way as the arrow is pointing to. So basically, I will just get the current position of the projectile, plus I will add the direction of the player. So let's say this direction. This will get me this position, and I will get the heading, or I will calculate the angle where this is pointing to. So this will get me the angle, and I will apply just this angle to the projectile, and I will move it to this direction. Actually, it will be better to just show you this how this works. But just remember, the projectile, even though it's square, it's by the default pointing here. So if I will set the forward speed to it, it will be moving to the right side. I can actually show it to you. Let's go to the update, and let's create here some movement speed to the projectile. So that your movement speed, and let's say it will be 300 movement speed, 300 pixels per second. And in the update, I'll just write here self set forward, or not forward, I think only forward. And we'll get here self movement speed multiplied by the time delta, because otherwise it will be too quick. So we'll write here from game time, import game time, and we'll get here a game time and delta time like this. And in the player, in the update method of the player, we'll be calling this projectile. So we'll just self projectiles, and we'll call here update method. So we'll apply this forward movement. Okay, now we should play it, and you see it's always moving just to the right side. Okay, it's not going to the direction of the player. Not so bad, but yeah. So you can shut this game, and let's fix it. So To provide a direction to it, we will go to projectile, and we'll pass here also a new parameter. We'll call it direction or dir, and we will call it type will be of this will be vector 2D. Now I will just change the heading of this projectile. So I'll write here self, and make sure you are providing it after the position. That's very important. Self and set heading, and it will be set self towards, and towards position plus direction. Okay, so if my current position, there is the base system here, there's a position 0, 0, let's say, this is my box here, the 0, 0 position, so this is my position. I'll apply to it the direction of the player. Direction of the player can be only 1 and 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, minus 0, minus 1, 0, and this, and also this, and this, and this, and this. This can be positions of the player, or, I mean, on an entire circle can be position, how the player is turned to, right? So what we're basically doing now is getting this 0, 0 position and applying any position where the player is turned to on this circle. So if the current direction, I can write a better circle. If the current player direction is here, for example, whatever position it is, we will apply the current position and add to it this position, and this will get me this. All right, and with the method towards, I will get this angle, and I will apply the set heading, so this will turn my projectile to this direction. Instead of pointing here, I will turn here. I will apply this heading. That's how the set heading works. So you just need to provide to this angle to which you would like to point to, and it will turn this direction. Okay, so yeah, now we should be turning the projectile. Now we just need to apply the direction to it. So we'll need to go back to the play. Why is complaining this? Let me see. We already have built in a variable called the direction, so that will be issue. Let's call it just direction. I think that will be better. So direction, and here will be direction like this. Okay, we'll go back to player, and we'll pass their direction. So as we are instantiating the projectile here, we'll provide here also self and direction will is direction here. So self direction like this. Okay, now let's save this. And let's try it out. So now we should be spawning where we are turning. Yeah, you see? Now it's getting spawned where I'm turning. The only problem with this, that these projectiles are not despawning. They will be always going very far. So we would like to maybe set some distance where they can go maximum, or maybe some lifetime of the projectile, because now it will go forever basically. So to do that, we'll go back to projectile, and we'll create here a new attribute, self, I'll call it lifetime or maximum lifetime. Maximum lifetime will be, let's say, 3 seconds or less, 1 second, or even half second will be good. And I'll get here self current lifetime, and this will be 0. Okay, and now in the update, I'll be increasing current lifetime. So I'll write here self current lifetime plus equal game time, delta time, it will be increasing. And I will say here if the self current time is larger or the same as the self max lifetime, then we want to do something. We don't want to move anymore the projectile. That we can do for a beginning. Okay, so if this will be true, simply return from update like this. So now what you should see when you will play the game is when you will, after 1 second, the projectile will stop. See, it's stopping after 1 second. Perfect. We can also decrease the time. We can just place it. We can place it for 0.75. Yeah, 0.5. Okay, so now let's play it. Now it should be more obvious. See, it's stopping. Okay, but instead of stopping it, we would like to despawn it. We would like to destroy it, get it from the projectiles group. So to do that, let's get back here, And we'll do one thing. We will go into our game entity, and I will create here a new attribute, and I will call it active, or is active, or active. Active is fine, active. And this will be by default true. So every game entity, when instantiated, will be active true. But in the projectile, get back to the projectile, if the self current lifetime is greater or the same as the self max lifetime, I will write here self active will be false. All right, so not any longer active, but it will be false. But now we need to check somewhere for this flag. If the entity is not active, then we should despawn it, or we should do something with it. Okay, and else, I've write here else move forward. Okay, so now we will go to the group. That will be the great spot to check it out. So go to the group, and here as we are updating, we can check for this entity. So we can say here, if entity is active, all good, we can update the entity. But if the entity is not active, so else, then we would like to despawn it. So we would like to delete it from the group and despawn it. So we would like to write here entity and hide turtle. So first we would like to hide it and then destroy it. So I cannot write it like this, delete entity, or actually I can do it even, but I would like to destroy it first from the array. We can do this. We can enumerate this list. So we can write here enumerate to extract the index we are currently iterating through, like this, enumerate. And next to the entity, I'll get here also index of entity. And then I can just write here delete and self at the index of y. This should do that. This should do that, or we can use a pop. We could do the self pop at the y. This should also work, I think. Yeah, let's try it out. Let's see if the entity will be removed successful. Let me play the game. Yeah, they are getting despawned. Perfect. That's what we wanted to see. Amazing. We'll lose the game. Played. The entities are... When I play the game, the projectiles are still there. So we should also despawn the projectiles as I see it. But so far it works great. That's exactly what we wanted to have implemented, right? Okay, let's shut this down. Let's get back here. And let's think of how we can despawn the entity after the game is done. So I think the best way, let me see, projectile, here we have update. On a game entity we have take damage, restart, update. Okay, on a group we have restart. Yes, we have a restart here on the group. So we can just call here a group restart, and this will get all the entities, will hide them, and it will clear the array. So what we can do in the player, as we have here restart, we can also access here now self projectiles, and we can call here restart. Okay, and that should do it. So I will go back to main. All right. Okay, let's spawn some projectiles. Now they're spawned. I will restart the game and they're gone. And we can start over. Perfect. Projectiles so far, they do nothing to the enemies, but what we want to do is of course destroy the enemy, but this will be for the another video. So far it works great, I think. Perfect. All right, so that's gonna be it. As always, you can find the code in the description of this video, and yeah, let's see what we'll be programming next. Cheers.